Aside from speaking to somebody like me, good day for you so far?
Yes.
Very good, yes.
Well, I'll start this one off with Mandy first. It just occurred to me, I was going to ask the, like, what connected you two first? But were you on the same season of Tough Enough?
Daria and me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, we were.
So were there interactions behind the scenes? Like, did you get to know each other that way? Because, hey, it's been 6 years or something. I wasn't rewatching before this interview.
Yes, that's where Daria and myself connected for the first time. We always talk about the story because we hit it off from like the very first day we met. We're both from the Northeast, and just something about it. We just had this connection, this initial connection that we both just became like best friends. But Daria always tells the story great when her initial impression of me. So I'll let her tell that part. But
apologies for making you repeat material here. That just occurred to me out of nowhere. Like, you were on that same season of that show, and most friendships from reality TV don't stand the course of time, to say the least.
Yeah, we're both the same season. We met immediately upon starting the process of trying out for Tough Enough. And like Mandy said, we saw each other, we connected. We're both Italian. We're from the same part of the Northeast, not far from each other. And we just instantly hit it off. I saw Mandy from across the room, and I'll never forget, she had on like this Barbie pink outfit, like platinum blonde hair. And I was like, I got to go over and introduce myself to this girl, see what she's all about. You know, I thought I was going to go over and, you know, I was judging a book by its cover, and I thought she was going to be a little pretentious or stuck up or a little bit of a diva. And I was like, what's up? I'm Daria. And she's like, what's up? I'm Mandy. And like, we just had this like initial like connection, and we hit it off, and we've been like sisters and best friends ever since. We roomed together on Tough Enough and, you know, competed together throughout the season. So it was fun.
Not that you asked, but a lot of my friendships are rooted in, we both like Van Halen, we like the same drink, we like the same restaurant. In your case, what was the common ground? Was it we're going through this reality TV experiment together and trying to make it Northeast and Italian, or was it food? Was that the first thing that connected you?
I know, I was gonna say food.
Food is like the most obvious connection. It's funny because Mandy and I are both super into fitness, and we've both been athletes almost our entire life in some facet or another. But food is also like the biggest part of our lives. Mandy grew up, her family owns an Italian deli in New York. My family, we're just huge foodies, big Italian family. And so I think we definitely connected on the common ground of food, but also I think we have a lot of the same aspirations and like the same mindset. We both were goal oriented and super driven to kind of build our own brand and make our life for ourselves. You know, neither one of us really stayed in the family. You know, Mandy didn't take over the deli. I didn't take over my dad's company. We both kind of wanted to make a name for ourselves and build a brand for ourselves. And so I think we really bonded with our passion and our independence and wanted to accomplish so many things together.
That makes sense. So that, you know, that brings everything full circle, that Mandy's Donuts, it's a real thing. A lot of people, I say that because a lot of people, they just do a pop-up truck, a pop-up stand, and that was it. They did it, they conquered, but it's grown. It's a real concrete thing. What I'm curious about, and I'll throw this one to Mandy, is how long was it from we should do this to actually doing it?
Wow, well, it's probably been, I mean, Daria and I used to talk about Mandy's Donuts, what, almost 7 years ago, right, Dar?
Yeah,
like when we first started, maybe 6 years ago. So we would, obviously we drive together to shows. We were together in NXT, you know, and I think from all the way from NXT, we had this idea of, you know, we both had a love for donuts. We then obviously wanted to create a platform for our fans to be able to kind of, you know, follow us and see what we're all about outside of wrestling. So, you know, we both had this idea of like, why don't we just start doing videos, but instead of us just like talking like everyone, you know, normally does, or podcasts and whatnot, like we should go in every city that we go to, we try like the best glazed donut and we rate it. And, you know, it kind of just started off as like something kind of fun for us, but we both always when this first started, we both envisioned, eventually down the road, having a brick and mortar, having, building this brand. And, Daria and I kind of like laugh about it sometimes because, our dads are pretty old school. They both have their own businesses and whatnot. And like, today's day and age, it's all about building the brand. So like, when I talk to my dad about it, he's always like, but he's like, where are your donuts? And he's always asking, and I'm like, Dad, we're building the brand. Like, we're getting there, like, he's like, but how do you not have donuts yet? And I'm like, Dad, it's hard to explain this to a, 63-year-old old school man that, is kind of stuck in his ways. But so we've been building this brand for years now, and for it to finally come to life is, the both of us are just extremely excited, and we're super proud of all the hard work that has come along, to this point, especially, for our very first batch of donuts, Mandy's donuts, finally, that we have. We're just really excited.
I can imagine when you actually finished that idea that you had, nothing more rewarding than the rewards, the cash, the profits. But throwing this one to Daria, the name of most of the movies that everyday people love is not the name that it started with. There's usually a working title. Was Mandy's Donuts the real name from the beginning, or is that like a joke title?
No, well, it's not a joke title, but we had a name called Dandy's Donuts. When we first started doing the YouTube series, it was called Dandy's Donuts. And then when we got into like trademarking and stuff like that, we ran into some sort of issue. And so we had to come up with a new name. We were like, we love Dandy's Donuts. How are we going to come up with something as good? And so Mandy and I were throwing around ideas. We actually consulted The Big Show, another WWE vet, on some names. And
Sure.
We went and we came up with Demandy's, and we thought it was a great play on words for both of our names, but also in demand. And so, yeah, that's kind of how we came up with the name. So to give you the official launch date of our donuts, by the way, we are launching through a virtual kitchen in Los Angeles area on Uber Eats on July 18th, which is also Mandy's birthday. So we take that as a good omen. We'll be on Uber Eats in Los Angeles on July 18th. That's 3 days from now.
I'll tell you another great thing that most people don't realize who use Uber Eats is if you enroll your Marriott Bonvoy points in there, every purchase on Uber Eats gets you Marriott points. As traveling people.
What? How did we not know about this?
I know about this.
I know, more comp rooms on the road, hopefully for both of you.
Wow.
Well, it happened.
Yeah, we were missing out.
But Daria, like throwing a follow-up at you here. The name we've established is not a joke, and it's a combined name of the two of you. And the first time I remember people having the two names together was Bennifer. I remember the Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck, Bennifer identity kind of thing. Do people backstage see you two and go, oh, Demandy's, did that adapt to the backstage nickname as well?
I think with fans a little bit more so. I've noticed a lot now being back on the road that, I'm seeing a lot of people repping Demandy's. And I think people online and our fans more so refer to us as Demandy's, which is something we talked a lot about when we chose this name, is that Demandy's, the forefront and the basis of Demandy's will always be donuts, but Demandy's doesn't just represent donuts. It represents anything that Mandy and I put our hands on together and work on together. So we thought it was kind of all encompassing. And yeah, I think it's definitely starting to become a thing.
Mandy, was this always in the back of your mind to be an entrepreneur besides being a successful fitness model and athlete?
Yeah, when I first started, I went to college originally for speech language pathology. So I got my bachelor's, and of course that was kind of the route that I was taking at the time. And then, suddenly I started getting into fitness, which created this whole other avenue, and I ended up falling in love with it. And I became like really kind of like engaged in, maybe this could even become, bigger and better things after this. Cause, I competed, and then I started building my brand, and I noticed that I was getting endorsements and sponsorships, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I can, be a big influence to other people. So I fell in love with that side of it. And then as obviously I've grown and evolved and, made it to WWE as a sports entertainer, like now it's just, yeah, I mean, Darren and I were, there's days where we just talk about things that we can do for our brand and what we want to do, whether it's after WWE, during WWE, all of that, because we're just constantly thinking. And the more we grow, the more different, ways, different people come into our lives too at different moments where, we get, we start thinking about other businesses or other ventures and all that. So now it's just, for the both of us, I know the sky's the limit for us, and we can build this into a huge global empire.
But the speech pathology background obviously paid dividends, because nobody would know from just listening to you speak that you're from Westchester. You managed to shed the accent. Was that something you had to work at, or that naturally came to you?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I think since I've been in Florida for so long, I kind of lost the accent a little bit. But whenever I go home, which I just went home for the 4th of July, and like, I feel like I come back because I talk to my brothers and my dad, everyone. And I feel like I have it a little bit, but then, yeah, it's only certain things, like coffee, walking and talking.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, all the vowels.
Yeah.
All the vowels. And Daria, coffee, that magic word was just said. And a lot of people, when they think of coffee, they think of donuts and vice versa. Are we eventually going to see coffee as tied in with the Demandy's brand?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we've been speaking about since we first started with the donuts. I think it goes hand in hand. Also, Mandy and I are huge fans of coffee. I now like 2-3 cups a day. I used to be so anti-caffeine.
You used to be so anti-caffeine.
Anti-caffeine, but I used to drink decaf coffee because I like the taste of coffee so much. So yeah, coffee's always been
that natural energy.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm getting older now though, and I feel like I really need the caffeine. One right about now would be perfect. But yeah, we definitely are going to be incorporating coffee into the brand, and also some other beverage products that I don't want to give it away, but I think it'll be super, super fun, especially for Uber Eats delivery and what we're doing in LA. But yeah, we have a lot more to Demandy's to come. We wanted to launch just with the 6 initial original flavors, which will always stand as the OGs of Demandy's. So these 6 flavors were handcrafted by myself and Mandy, working with our chef closely. So these are kind of like our babies and the OGs that will always stand as kind of the forefront of Demandy's. And then as time goes on, we have layers of introductory products that we want to release as well. So we'll get to that. But yeah, we just wanted to start with the 6 original flavors.
The last question I have about Demandy's, before I ask some stuff about music and movies, are you allowed to say like who else works on this? Is there a consultant or a public person that you're allowed to unearth, or is it really you two are the brain trust and follow you two?
We do, I would say, like 80% of the day to day, but we have a business partner, Lawrence Longo, who owns Off the Menu out in LA. He also owns Prince in LA. He's a huge food guru in the celebrity space specifically. He's like the genius. And then we work with a company called KDS, and they are our partners in getting these kind of virtual ghost kitchens running and getting them in more cities.
Wow. Okay. So it's just starting in LA. We're just going to have to keep following to see the expansion out here to New York, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, definitely city coming soon. Yes.
Oh, speaking my language. Well, the last 2 questions for both of you, and I'll start with Mandy here. When you're training, what music goes on the radio, or do you not even care about it as long as the beats per minute are high?
So I have like my own playlist that I kind of just create on Spotify, and it's just like it's a very mixed genre of music though. Like Darren and I we actually like country music, believe it or not. But for working out wise, it's hip hop, R&B, pop, just like kind of today's hits too, that I just kind of sprinkle in that playlist that I have.
So not metal.
No, not metal.
The one concert that I saw in Westchester was a metal concert. I know that there are
Really?
metal people there, but what can you do? Gary, I believe you're a hip hop person primarily. I didn't know about the country, but what do you like to train to when the radio is on and you have the choice?
Yeah, hip hop and R&B for sure. I also love alternative, like 90s alternative rock. Probably is like my kryptonite, especially when I'm like, I want to get like in the zone. And yeah, country. I grew up listening to country with my dad, and my girlfriend currently loves country music. So that's like our day-to-day jam. But yeah, if I'm working out, I like a alternative.
That surprises me away because growing up here on Long Island, we didn't have a country station most of my childhood. That's something that happened in the last maybe 5 years. Did you have one in Jersey?
Oh yeah, 92.5 XTU.
Wow. She did not hesitate in saying
She had that one.
Oh, I went to the XTU concert, Camden, front. That was like, yeah, Keith Urban, Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, all of them.
Nice. Well, Mandy, the last question to you before I throw it to Daria is, besides all the WWE program, which is fantastic and we should be watching it, and NXT, and et cetera, what is a television recommendation you have for my wife and myself? Because every time we start a new show, we finish it in 4 days and we go, what's next?
I'm probably the worst person to ask that question. Daria can vouch for me.
I'm the best.
I literally my boyfriend makes fun of me because he's like, oh, you really want to watch something tonight? You'll be watching it for 2 minutes and you'll be sleeping. Like, it's really hard for me to get into something. So like, what?
Mandy's the worst. She falls asleep in 2 seconds. Never series. She gets sick of it after like episode 1. I'm the opposite. I'm addicted to TV series. I've watched 5 million. Currently, my binge is Animal Kingdom on Prime. It is.
Oh, you told me about that one.
Probably the best series I've watched in the last 5 years. It's amazing. Action thriller. It's really good. Also, Lucifer, the Dexter spinoff. I'm trying to think of my like recents.
I can't get into any of these shows. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, if you
they're so popular.
Yeah.
If you keep falling asleep so easily into TV shows, it sounds like the Demandy's coffee has to get onto the market sooner.
That is true. Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is this. You two are not lazy. Most people would be on international global television weekly for 10 years practically and go, that's enough work. That and the touring. Nope, you're making these brand things happen. So what is the best way to follow up and keep on track with the latest and greatest from Demandy's? What are the social handles?
It's at Demandy's with a Z on everything. Twitter, Instagram. It's really all we're on. And then my personal is Sonya Deville WWE on everything.
Mandy, yourself?
My Instagram is at Mandy Sachs, and my Twitter is WWE_Mandy Rose.
Well, there you go. Thank you both so much for your time. Looking forward to getting the products here in New York as well.
Yeah, thanks. Coming soon. Thank you.
Paltrocast.